Hi there, I'm Peggy Goodell, and I'm flying solo these days, but that's okay. Hey guys, listen, I'm out there on my social media and I'm trying to share updates and stuff that's going on because there's so much stuff happening. And I'm focusing directly on the United especially since we have it that the United States is going through so many changes with our feds and what the alliance is of what the value is of our dollar, where this started from and where it's going. If you're following me on Peg Goody on Facebook, you can be able to see this and what the challenges are up ahead. But before I go there, you guys know how much I am so divined and so in tune of the many levels of what's happening out there in the commodities market as far as metals are concerned. So I just want to touch base before I close, which kind of ties out to my whole ending there. The commodity with metals, one of the top renowned ones is copper. Copper plays a huge value line right now. This gives us our electricity line. It puts us in alliance with what we're having with these changes with the solar panels. Hell, it even runs your damn refrigerator and your air conditioning, especially if you're in Texas and Florida where it's hot heat levels now, even though you get rain showers every day. Now, copper rebounded yesterday after dropping the most in nearly 2 weeks in its previous sessions, as the metal's solid fundamentals offset its investors' concerns about the global macroeconomic outlook due to a fresh surge in this coronavirus cases that are happening in the United States. 3-month copper out on the LME, which is the London Metal Exchange, it rose 0.2% to $9,462 a tonnage, rebounding for its biggest fall of 1.3% since August the 3rd of Monday. Now, the most traded September copper contract was on the SFE FC exchange, that's the Shanghai Futures Exchange, and it fell 0.6% at 69,820 yuans. That's $10,777.35 a ton, tracking overnight losses in London. According to different analysts, copper is poised to be consumed largely the electric vehicle, which we all know is coming. They're establishing this to be fundamentally introduced and more persistent in 2023 to 2025. Whereas what I was saying with my other company, One Global Money, and my partners, that the G20 and the G7 had proposed this, and all the countries got on board by putting billions, not millions, billions of dollars into the funding when they met with this last year after COVID, to decide on this electrical use. So sourcing's out there with solar panels, what I call the big pinwheels of making electricity be different. This is not only this functionality, but this is even in your laptop, your iPad, your cell phone. These productive items, ones of nature with copper, are a need. It's a want. It's one that is a future layover and an establishment of what we're going to have to be an investment out of our governments, and gives the initiatives, as many countries are going to fight with this climate change. And these are the climate changes that the G20 and G7 propose all across the global world in order to establish these fundings, which is totally fine. It's totally okay. Now, in Peru's new socialist government, which that country has hurt, well, let's face it, all of South America is hurting and is still hurting, which is some of the largest copper mines around, is working with the mining industry on new approach to community relations and red tape to unlock more of the country's huge mineral wealth. There is so much of an investment source out there. All companies are happy so far, as stressed by the Minister of Energy. Ivan Marino says from an interview that we all agree that all projects must be given a new social face, that we need a new pact. The ministry's pragmatic tone may further ease these fears of stoked by talking in the election campaign that's coming up of greater state intervention and neutral resources that would stifle investment and future outputs. Peru is the top copper producer after Chile globally, and the market is relying on this nation developing more of these giant deposits to meet surging demands in the shifts towards a cleaner energy. So they play a huge factor into what's happening with this climate change focused on with the G20 and G7 that made these pronunciations during 2020 after the COVID pandemic. So with Further Astray, copper holds a big main source, and there are so many different companies you can reach your sources out there for to make sure this is a true investment of your alignment. Now, as these relationships between these mining projects offer isolated rural communities combined with slow permit have hampered progress into the industry. That's right, South America's hurting on this. They're fighting on this as a battle, especially with their elections coming on board of a natural source. Of the 60 mining projects that are in different stages, the government intends to focus first on those that are close to the starting and freeing up of those that are trapped in the government's red tape. So kudos to Peru that they can establish this big, huge move with copper. China was one of the first countries to define and jump down there into the South American governments to see what they could proclaim, even in offering buying some of the top copper mines in that. And what did the United States do? Sit back and ride the wave and work on a 2%, oh, let's not have inflation cost factors, and let's just focus on real estate. Now, we recognize that the state has not yet been present moving forward into this direct, but with the information exchange, that there are no distortions, as Moreno has said, which is the Ministry of its Energy. This Southern Copper Corp, Tia Maria, is the initiative that these jobs will develop under the program of President Pedro Castillo, who has said he has opposed the project. There are deposits in Peru that are richer and bigger, with the region between Cuzco and Apurímac containing enough mineral to match Chile's productions. This should be pretty interesting play out of what the government's going to do out of success with Peru being the second out with Chile being number one. This is where you have to look at a commodity of exchange. Mining.com is a really good one to be able to focus on, to be able to see different factors. Another one is our Wheat and Precious Metals group out of British Columbia, Canada, and is working very diligently in the United States of making sure that we are gathered known. There are plenty of other value lines of investment sourcing with copper that you can check out and get involved in as well, if this is something you think you might be a strategy for. At some stage, Peruvian states that they could play a more active role in strategic sectors and may even be a shareholder in some of these projects. But priority is to bring the process and request language out and get these governments on board to show the establishment of what Peru can do with these copper mines. Even Elon Musk is involved in these copper mines because he needs it for the electricity in those cars. Do your read and research, people. See what the value of this commodity and this precious metal is so that you know where you lay and where your money is invested. Now, another one that's come about is uranium. Uranium plays a huge top factor in our energy sources, especially with all these solar panels going up. And who is at the top of the list of no argument on this? That's right, Morgan Stanley is at the top of the commodity thermometer. It was assigned as the most bullish thesis with uranium of 17 mined commodities under the bank's coverage. That's right, it has definitely stepped up for its power play. Further price upside near term as commercial inventors are drawn down. Investment demands continues and the mine supplies remain below the 2019 levels. Now, this is, of course, COVID taking a huge factor hit on that. Long-term growth continues to push these streamlines as much of it can be said and strong-willed for. With that being noted of taking on to the glamorosity of this, you can only assume what it is to be said with Morgan Stanley. And reports have definitely shown, let me just share my screen with you guys really quickly. And those who are not on Twitter, you can be able to see this and focus on it and gather it off of the Morgan Stanley website as well. But it has been stated by John Quates, one that I follow real heavily on my Twitter account, that Morgan Stanley places uranium at the very top of its metals and mining commodity thermometer. This is a huge bullish run. Other than their cryptocurrency, their long-term demand on growth continues to push the price higher, and they give you all the strong values of what they're using for this and where the long hold is. And here you got number 3 in their market line is copper. So this is just one to be able to share with you guys of where the strengths are and these companies that are divulging in it, and they're jumping on board with this. So I hope and pray that you will look for your investments with that. This comes to a factor play that for my final and the aftershock of the remembrance of August 15th, 1971, is when President Richard Nixon took a momentous, let's say, step. So let's just back up in history, because you guys know how much I absolutely love history. I love talking about it. I get off to it. Yeah, the man that does fortunately get in my life, he better have history at the top of his resume to win my heart. But after World War II, let me just read this to you. After World War II, the U.S. had used its leverage as the last advanced economy standing to make the dollar the foundation of the global system of exchange rates. The post-war dollar was backed by huge gold reserves built up in part through American sales of munitions to Europe during the war. That's right. We all, if you're in my age group and older, or even a little bit younger than me, you're gonna know this. And those that are younger, like my daughter's age of 35 and below, not so much, because unfortunately your schools didn't focus on this treachery. And there's a reason why they didn't, because they jumped to technology, whole nother system. But with this being said, the post-war dollar was backed by this huge gold reserve built up in part through American sales of munitions to its government with the system known as Bretton Woods. We've all heard of Bretton Woods. Yeah, and I had to unfortunately not be able to go and make it to the Bretton Woods this year that was being hosted, and I was so sad that I had to miss that invitation, but had other business to attend to in the Caribbean. For that, New Hampshire's side of its entracement played a key role in the reconstruction of devastated economies in Europe and Japan. But by 1971, those recovering economies had become a threat to gold-backed dollar. Rising exports from Europe and Japan eroded the U.S. share of global trade, reducing demand from American currency. Combined with excess U.S. spending, this convinced financial markets that the dollar was overvalued against its $35 per ounce gold. That's right. So Roosevelt in 31 to 33 demanded, if you had gold, you had to turn it into the closest centralized bank, which was JP Morgan banks back then. And you had to disclose yourself with pronunciation. And he bought the gold from the people as an enticement, as an incentive for them to be able to bring their gold in at 28 to some 30, depending on the tonnage of value for their gold, and turned around and sold this and claimed it at $35 per ounce. Stirring in the 1960s, dollars were redeemed at the gold in faster and faster clip. The gold run motivated by its belief of the dollar peg might break, leaving dollar holders short. After 50 years, Richard Nixon suspended dollar redemptions for the gold. Though the process took a few more years to play out, this effectively ended the gold standard and fixed Bretton Woods exchange system that relied on it. With this being a header, Europe and Japan were the top two market lines of being able for us to be extradite this in our equivalency in our economic values. I mean, when's the last time in the United States you saw a huge warehouse running and operating like you did in your history books, or when you see online for Wikipedia of what there was and what there's not now? I mean, we're struggling out there in the United States. Agriculturally, exporting is even down. The margin lines are even down. It's very sad where the fixable rate is on what we're having to fight on and where our negotiations are being stated with and where we're being driven with. I mean, these markets are ones that, are we going to survive this factor? And our inflation rate is where it is for a determining factor. It's pretty scary with that being said. And then you have the value line of those that are fighting this. Oh, don't buy gold. It's not a substantial commodity. It's not one that's going to be of value. Don't have it in your portfolio. And I've had several business partners that are telling me, Peggy, you're a freaking idiot. Didn't exactly use that type of an F word. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. And I do have some gold. And that's one that is a circular monument of one that you can see. Now, just being able to set that statutory with you guys and knowing the knowledge of that, some of you guys do not understand that. But gold is heading for its fourth straight gain as investors turn to the safe haven. Investors come back to They have the drawing board, they get excited, they do their reading research, they exploit, they invest, and then they always step back. Why the hell do you think Warren Buffett sold out on the majority of his stocks and owns Barrick Gold? I mean, come on, people. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that shit out. Who's in bed with who in government regulations? Think about it. Just think about it. It's common sense. It is a portfolio that you want to have. I'm deep into my cryptocurrency, where I rely on myself with that. You guys know that. But I'm just giving you a commodity exchange of knowledgeable information just to open up your portfolio, just as a safe haven as well. I'm not telling you not to do what you need to do, but amid the concerns over the Delta coronavirus that has come out with its variants and the weaker economic data that we see as a growth factor, this is ones that you can predict and say. A report that was published by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York on Monday showed that the state's manufacturing activity moderated in August after expanding at an unprecedented pace a month earlier. Meanwhile, a measure of selling price advanced to the fresh record, suggesting that inflationary pressures remain elevated. Chinese retail sales and industrial output data showed activity slowed during these fresh lockdowns to contain the COVID-19 outbreak in the world's biggest consumer. The data underscored broader concerns over threats to the global recovery from rising prices and virus cases. So as these COVID numbers go up, which we are back up in the US, in Texas, this creates a different factor of that safe haven of what assets are looking for. Now, the Treasury yields and inflation adjusted real yields also fell for itself. This is increasing the metals appeal. This is why I say, be smart to yourself of your investment. Take the time. Read about what this is. You sit in a car, if you're in the United States, we're the one country that has the most freaking automobiles and don't need them. Look around. And the next time you want to go and you want to turn that air conditioner on, it's not just the mercury that moves in the adjustment to do the connection. It's the connection, that small copper wire behind it that offsets for those two little screws that give the ignition for your happy ass to be cool, sitting on your couch, watching Netflix. I watch Netflix. I have a once a week Netflix thing with me and popcorn and cold beer. So, do your own damn education. Look around you, people. It doesn't take much to drive out on a country road and you can see solar panels are going up everywhere. How do you think those operate? Copper, uranium of a prostitute, palladium, platinum. These are things of value. Now, gold is a safe haven. Silver is a safe haven. It's kind of like a woman's jewelry box. And you men, God help you. My heart goes out to every man globally. A woman's jewelry box is her Pandora, right? When she opens that box and she has the value to be able to choose what it is that she wants to shine with for that day, that's gold and silver, because she will always have the come back to know where she's going to be for that day. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to preclude that we've got a disruption. I'm not trying to say we've got to devalue. I'm just trying to say, be smart, do your read and research. Look where your timelines are. Looking at it this morning and taking a glance over of the view, let me just share my screen with you to kind of show where we're at in different values. I always like to show that. And when you look at this gold, $1,787. I mean, at this time, even last year, we were in the $2,000 marker. So it's taking a hit. Silver's at $23.79 an ounce. Now these are US dollars. Please make sure you understand, if you're watching me from another country, these are US dollars. So do your own homework. I'm not even going to divulge into other areas, even though I look in other global areas. I get up every morning at 3:00 a.m. Just to be able to see what's going to open up in the Nikkei. So, you know, these play huge factors. And looking at this, you can see, you know, where it was looking into these factors. This is July the 15th, 1829. We started picking up. Crypto was in a total crash, trying to come out and, you know, make heroism again after a 2 months, you know, retracement act. You know, you've got all of these playing field factors of looking at where, and then the big dip, you know, cryptocurrency came back alive towards the end of July, and you started seeing it bounce back. You know, so these markets go back and forth and back and forth. That's the volatility that there is in these markets, people. That's what a market is. So for someone to stand there and tell me that I am a freaking idiot and not being able to pay attention, it's my damn portfolio, and what I want in it is what I'm going to keep in it. So don't judge me on that claim. I'm just suggesting to you many different factors, because some people will never do crypto. They will never buy Bitcoin. They'll never look at a DeFi. They'll never pay attention to the altcoins, and they'll never understand what that meaning is. And I do a separate show on that as well. But this is a huge, huge factor. And I'm just trying to give you a commodity to be able to look as to what you can do and put in your portfolio to make yourself a better person too. So listen, I'm Pegs. Look me up on social media. I'm going to be getting out there quite a bit and sharing different information with you guys. More focused on LinkedIn, because more business people have reached out to me for different angles in regards to that, especially on the commodity side and cryptocurrency. You can always find me on Twitter as well. I'm out there with my cryptocurrency on Twitter. That is my to-go-to for information, as well as I have my emails out there, you guys. Please, please, if you have any questions or concerns, be happy to reach out. I'm happy to give you my undivided attention. And if I can't, whoops, sorry about that, guys. Had a little bit of a glitch system come through on out here in the Caribbean. You never know what the hell's going to happen. But anyways, you guys, I'm going to let you go for today. I hope y'all got a little bit, if nothing else, just one thing that I shared with you today. History is there. Read it, because it will help you acclaim to where our future is going. And this doesn't even touch on the technicalities of the technical world that we are in and where we're headed for the future. And just remember, copper, uranium, palladium, platinum play a huge source in our technology with our crypto world that's going on out there. So take care. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.